Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am honoured to be able to rise and speak to this legislation which the member for York Centre has brought before this House today. I want to thank the member for initiating an important discussion on hate speech and what we can all do as parliamentarians to push back against this dangerous and deadly practice. Madam Speaker, one thing I know we can all agree on in this House is that every Ontarian should be able to live and work without fear of being targeted by hate speech. And we also know that hate speech can and does incite violence. Sadly, in too many parts of the world, people remain afraid to engage in these important discussions, and without them, we cannot make any progress. In fact, Madam Speaker, around the world, we have seen the tide of hatred rising. According to Statistics Canada, hate crimes have been steadily climbing since 2014, and that's largely driven by an increase in hate crimes targeting Muslim, Jewish, and Black Canadians. And around the world, we've also seen the growth of ugly dog whistle politics. We've seen some leaders afraid to clearly name and denounce hate. Sadly, our great, loving, multicultural province is not immune. In 2017, which is the most recent year that we have data for, 6 of the top 10 cities for hate crimes in Canada were in Ontario. 6. So I hope that we can all agree that this is a problem that hits very close to home and that it requires serious consideration and action from every member in this House. Ontarians of all backgrounds, of all faiths and identities deserve so much better than this. We all deserve to be able to enter the houses of worship, walk home at night, or take a ferry ride to the beach without fear, regardless of the color of our skin or whether we wear a hijab, a kippah, or a turban. That's why I want to thank the member from York Centre once again for bringing the issue of hate speech before us today. I know that the member knows, as all members of this House do, that the Speaker and the Assembly already have the power to bar hateful demonstrations from the grounds, and that these sorts of demonstrations are already explicitly prohibited in the application to hold a demonstration or rally on Assembly grounds. But I commend the member nonetheless for going the extra mile and for bringing the issue of hate speech before the House today, because it is critical that we are all crystal clear about this. What we say and what we do, both here and out in our communities, matters. So if we want to build a province where we name hate, one where we stand up for each other and make sure that all Ontarians are safe and valued, we have to live up to that standard ourselves. Because the people of this province, they're smart, and they expect much more than empty gestures or rhetoric that isn't backed up by concrete actions or policies. So when members of this government call on us to stand up together against hate, it means they need to walk the talk. So when Faith Goldie and her white supremacist friends are spreading hate, when they're claiming that they have the government support, whether it's true or not, whether it's here at this legislature or on a mayoral campaign trail, you can't just stand by. You have to stand up. What I'm saying, Madam Speaker, and what I believe the member from York Centre is saying, is that members of this House have a responsibility to denounce hate and those who spread it. They have to do it clearly. They have to do it specifically. To name Islamophobia when it happens. To name anti-Black racism when it happens. To name anti-Semitism when it happens, without reservation and without delay. Because all that hate needs to spread is for people, and especially people like us, people in positions of power, to say or do nothing. It also means that members of this House have a responsibility to be careful and thoughtful about the language that they use. It means we all have a responsibility to put respect and humanity first when we speak, and especially when we're creating policy. It's up to us as members of this legislature to acknowledge that calling people quote-unquote illegal, especially when they are legally seeking asylum from violence and hate themselves, isn't just disrespectful or crude or irresponsible. It's dangerous, and it puts the safety and the dignity of already vulnerable people at risk. But, Madam Speaker, as my friends and colleagues on all sides of the House know, standing up against hate is not just about what you don't do. To truly eradicate hate from our province, we have to take positive action as well. We have to listen to communities who are the front line of the battle against discrimination, and we have to examine the ways that discrimination is built into the systems of our province, and we have to take concrete steps to tear down these barriers. So as the member from York Centre and the government bring forward this piece of legislation today, I hope that they will also be moving swiftly to reverse the cuts to programs, agencies and advocates that fight hate and systemic discrimination. And let me take it one step further. I hope that in committing to take a meaningful stand against hate and against the systems and ignorance that fuel hate, that this government takes immediate action to strengthen and fully fund the Anti-Racism Directorate. That way, Ontarians can be sure that the critical work of making our province fair and safe from hate and discrimination is being done. These are all critical steps that we must all take as members of this House, Madam Speaker, because taking meaningful action to eradicate hate and to tear out systemic discrimination at the roots is all of our responsibilities. I know that we can do this. We can stand together with all Ontarians that fight hate and discrimination instead of standing by while hatred and discrimination is spread. And we can begin to build the Ontario that we all want, a province where every single person, no matter who they are, knows that they belong and that they're treated this way. A province where people of every faith, every background and identity are able to live together in peace and in harmony without hate, without discrimination, and without fear. A province where children are safe and children feel safe, and hateful words that make them feel otherwise are just not welcome. I want to thank the member for York Centre once again for giving us the opportunity to have this discussion and to hopefully chart a better way forward, beginning with concrete actions to end hate and systemic discrimination. And I certainly look forward to hearing the rest of the debate.